So let's start here with their first research paper that I covered back in episode 60, Breaking News, 2022 Great Pyramid Scans and Evidence for Hidden Chambers, where I expressed my excitement, enthusiasm, and skepticism for the research being presented in this paper entitled Synthetic Aperture Radar Doppler Tomography Detects Undiscovered High-Resolution Internal Structures of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And I'll quote the abstract here that explains the basis of this synthetic aperture radar technology. Quote, one problem with synthetic aperture radar is that given the limited penetrating effect of electromagnetic waves inside solids, the capability to image inside distributed targets is excluded. Under these circumstances, imaging activity is only given on the surface of distributed targets. This paper describes an imaging approach based on the investigation of micro movements on the Khnum-Khufu pyramid, usually generated by background seismic waves. The results obtained proved to be very promising, as, quote, high resolution, full 3D tomographic imaging of the pyramid's interior and subsurface was achieved. Khnum-Khufu becomes transparent like a crystal when observed in the micro movement domain. Based on this novelty, we have completely reconstructed internal objects, observing and measuring structures that have never been discovered before. The experimental results are estimated by processing series of synthetic aperture radar images from the second generation Italian Cosmo SkyMed satellite system, demonstrating the effectiveness of the proposed method. End quote from the abstract. Okay, so this synthetic aperture radar technology is a new method for imaging structures that relies on micro movement vibrations to detect internal features. And when I saw the new data that was released during the conference, I immediately reread this initial paper in the hope of improving my comprehension of the new scan images. And I began to notice several things that I pointed out back in episode 60. Again, being very excited, enthusiastic, but skeptical of what I was seeing. So in evaluating the following data and the potential viability of this SAR technology, we need to see three things. First, the ability of the SAR scans to detect and clearly show the known configuration of the structure. In other words, we should be able to see clear as day the chambers that we know exist. Second, the results of the scanning should be corroborated by other known and vetted internal imaging technologies like the muon scanning method. And third, the 3D modeling that is proposed by the team should be justified by what is shown in the actual scan data.